Hey, family, and thank you so much for tuning back into another fire-filled segment here on Gems Podcast. With me in the hot seat is my special guest, Kristin Fields Chadwick, and you already know me, Miss Genesis Amaris Kemp, the founder and host. And here's a bit about Kristin. Kristin is a podcast coach and manager. She is also a certified transformational life coach. She works with podcast management of Top Performance Podcasts, the host of Holistic Hearts and Holistic Podcasting. So, without further ado, please welcome Kristin Fields Chadwick to Gems Podcast.
Oh, thank you so much, Genesis. It is such an honor to be here.
My pleasure, Kristin. So let's definitely connect on a personal level so the audience gets to know you a little bit better. So there are two options I like to do here on my show. One is a rapid fire 10-question game or breaking the ice up front. Which would you like to do?
Man, I knew you were gonna ask me this, so I was like, oh, I don't know which one. We're gonna do rapid fire. I'm feeling sassy today, so.
Okie dokie, here we go. Rapid fire with Genesis and Kristin. Question number one. If you could go anywhere in the world and money was no option, and here's the kicker, you're not allowed to fly back to your home base because they grounded the flights for some apparent reason. Where are you heading?
Oh gosh. Um, Anywhere that has a beach.
Amazing. Question two. Favorite book or TV show or movie?
Oh man, right now, currently, I have many over my lifetime. But currently, my favorite show is Schitt's Creek because I need humor in my life, and it is definitely bound to make me laugh. So,
Three, Apple or Android?
Apple,
Four, coffee, tea, or neither?
coffee.
Five, if you could have lunch or dinner with any person, living or dead, who would it be?
Oh, my dad.
Oh, my answer too. Six, if you could go back and recreate a significant moment in your life, what would it be?
uh, Significant moment.
These are always
Maybe,
good.
I know. Maybe my wedding day.
Okay.
I'd love to do it again. Yep.
Seven, if you could, no, if you could have anything in the world and money was no option, what would you be going for?
Anything in the world and money was no option. Oh gosh.
Choices, choices.
I know. Let's see. Oh man, I don't know how to answer that fast.
Okay. Wait,
Yeah,
you want to come back to it?
I do.
Okay. So, question number eight. This is an easy one. So, you're on a deserted island, right? Everything is magical and just what you expected. There's a gift shop on the island, but you only could buy one item. And here are your choices: two bananas and a mango, a favorite shirt, or a favorite CD. What are you buying?
Favorite CD.
Oh man. Okay. Nine. If you had any superpower, what would it be?
Flying.
Okay. Now let's go back to the question. You could have anything in the world and money was no option. What would it be?
This is such a tough question. Endless travel to go see my family there.
Oh, okay.
There you
Awesome.
go.
And then question number 10, the pass or play question. If you play, I ask one last question. If you pass, our roles are reversed for this question and you get to ask me something. So do you want to pass or play?
Pass.
Okie dokie. What's your question?
Um, I want to know your favorite, like, who would you be, other than your dad, who would you want to have lunch with?
Ooh, I would probably say Jesus,
Mhm.
just to kind of figure out like what his thoughts were. ask him why did he challenge Eve and why are women suffering during childbirth and
Oh,
other things.
good questions.
Oh man. So
Love it.
thank you for playing rapid fire with Genesis, Kristen. So
Woo-hoo.
let's jump into podcasting. What made you become a podcast manager and coach?
I love this question because it was not something that I set out to do intentionally. Um, I was just telling a friend of mine the other day that I remember as a kid recording the radio on my cassette tape, and my initials then were KFM. And so I would always be like, "You're listening to KFM Rocks, and our next song is Whitney Houston," and like would record the song. And I loved playing in that capacity as a kid, but I never thought any kind of broadcasting would be in my future. It was just something that I played around with. And then um, I was personal trainer for a while, had babies, stayed home, and then I wanted to go back to grad school to be a counselor. And about 2 weeks before classes started, I unenrolled because I just felt like the Lord put a like, hold on, we gotta actually think about this. And so I actually unenrolled, and a friend of mine called me a couple days later and he was like, "Kristin, we've been praying for a producer and you are it." And I said, "Okay, what do I do?" And he was like, "You'll figure it out. It's in your blood." And he pretty much threw me in the deep end and said, "Create a good show and build the content, get all the authors that we need to speak to. Don't create a book report show." And so pretty much built that podcast. It's called Rebel Parenting, from grassroots to top 25 kids and family podcast within the year. And then had so much fun with that for about 4 years. And then just felt like it was time to step into my own journey. And so I started my own podcast with their blessing, and um, began to share my story and my journey in my relationship with the Lord. And when a few people found out that I was not producing for Rebel Parenting anymore, I was asked to do their show. And so I had a handful of new clients and started working in that capacity. And bit by bit, more and more people started asking me little questions about podcasting, and uh, just discovered that I did have experience in the field, and could help people in what I knew and what we've walked through. And so slowly but surely, then this last year, started to publicly say that I was a a podcast coach and podcast manager. And it has been so much fun to just have the door swing wide open, from kind of like a hush hush company to now a public company. And it's been such a gift to be a help to other people and to help bring clarity, bring vision to their podcast, and um, continue to help build out their brand, their story, and encourage others to use their voice as well.
That is awesome. So, one thing that I heard is that you follow your intuition and you allow the Holy Spirit to speak to you and work in and through you to kind of help you navigate the next steps. So, for anyone listening and they're like, okay, Kristen, that sounds amazing, but what exactly do you do as a podcast manager and coach? Like, what are some of the ins and outs and challenges? Because sometimes we always hear the success stories, but we never go beyond the surface to really hear the challenges on, okay, I tried this, but the ROI wasn't high. The
Mhm.
metrics just wasn't there, or I didn't get a lot of downloads and stuff like that, because there's so many things that go involved in podcasting. Some people choose to edit, other people do not edit for
Mhm.
various reasons. Can you walk us through some of the strategies that you use to be successful?
Yeah. Well, Our strategy is you've got to have a purpose. You got to have intentionality with your podcast. What I have seen over the years, if you do not have a main intention, a main problem that you're solving, if you do not have a clear picture of where you're headed, then you're just kind of winging it of like, what am I going to talk about this week? And then that can create burnout. And so one of the things that I'm passionate about with my clients is bringing that intentionality. Why are you doing this? Why does it matter? Why are people going to listen to your show? And I absolutely 100% believe I am your biggest cheerleader, because I totally believe your voice and your story need to be heard, and it has to have something attached to it. So a purpose to it. And so that's, bringing in that transformational life coaching into podcasting. That's the perfect blend of like, why are you doing this? What is the end goal? So yes, we do everything from launching to you have a current podcast and you need help growing and expanding your business and creating a game plan for monetizing, all of those things. So everywhere from beginning to you're already a current podcaster. So we do the editing, we do the publishing, we write show notes, we do social media. We do one-off coaching, so auditing your podcast if you already have a podcast and you need an outside ear, and to get feedback. We do podcast webinars. So like if you're just getting started or you're like, I wonder if podcasting is a good idea, then we do little one-off webinars where is it a good fit for you? And yeah, so we're all over, but we're also very intentional about who we work with. Like when I look at my roster of clients, I am absolutely humbled and honored over, right now it's all women that I get to work with. And I would not have it any other way. I mean, it is like handpicked, like kingdom business entrepreneur women that are inside of this group. And I love it. And the potential of other entrepreneurs coming in. It's just so specific and so intentional of who we end up working with. And that is like the coolest part of my job, because I don't take it lightly that we get to hold space for somebody's story. And so when I work with people, I'm really really careful. I don't know, careful is the right word, or intentional with holding a space for, because to me, my faith, it is the foundation of my business. So being prayerful over each and every person that is in our roster, or being intentional about listening on their behalf of like, hey, I just want to encourage you, and that he sees all that you're doing. So those type of things are like what really, really matters to me as a business owner, that they are knowing their value in this.
That's beautifully said. So one of your foundations is faith, intentionality, asking them why, to individualize it. Like, why are you doing this? Who are you trying to impact? What is the mission behind it? And just helping them build a vehicle to get them through the uncharted territories and really understand the true focus. And in order to understand the true focus, you have to be intentional and steward yourself in order to go through the journey. And then also just having that open conversation, because I truly believe communication is key, and it's a two-way street. Just like they're telling you what they want, you have to actively listen, and whenever something does not align, you have to pause and reevaluate and ask those questions so you all could get back in a congruent groove.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I think sometimes some of the hardest things with podcasts podcasting is sometimes looking at the metrics at a granular level, because some people could easily get hung up on the metrics that they forget about the mission behind the podcast.
Yep.
So can you talk about what are some important metrics to focus on, and then just allow the other ones to come with it during its time, and don't be so focused on, oh, I got to look at these KPIs, these key performance indicators, because if I don't meet this, then my show is not going to flourish. But then if you fail to, really connect with your source, who you are, how you show up, and how you're showing up for your audience based on their needs, then you're missing the target there. And that's a big metric in itself.
Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, one of the most common questions is like, what do you think about download numbers? That's a big question. And for me, being in this field since 2016, download numbers, yes, you can get information. It's purely information. It is not truth of what's actually happening. So, yes, from a statistic standpoint, you want to gradually continue to increase. That just shows that there's people sharing, there's more people listening. Absolutely. What, as a podcast coach that genuinely cares about your wholeheartedness in it, is who are you serving, that one person? And if you are connecting to that one person, or there's one person that continually is like, man, your show this week, it so solved this problem for me, I needed to hear that, then you are winning. It is worth the investment in doing a podcast. And yes, over time, ultimately, I'm not going to lie, we all want to make money off of a podcast. And so you do want to build out courses, build out a product, build out a membership. Absolutely. And we can help you get there. But as a wholehearted coach, podcast coach, what really matters is, are you in alignment with what you truly believe and what you're called to do? And when you are speaking to somebody that needed to hear that on their journey, because they're back here still and you're up here. Even if it's just 1 or 2 steps ahead of them, you're still bringing value and you're helping somebody else come along, and you're wanting them to surpass you, right? Because that's what a good leader is you do even better than I do. And so I think when you talk about KPIs or download numbers, what really is the focus is, where are you in alignment? Where are you bringing value? And is that one loyal listener, or 10 loyal listeners, or 50 loyal listeners? Are you serving them well? Because, I was just reading this morning the parable of the talents, like sowing the talents, right? What has he given you right now to sow into and multiply? And for me, it starts with that 1, and then it goes to 5, and then it goes to 10. And how are you serving well? So that's how I would answer that question.
I like that. So if you focus on that one and you talk to that person is going to go on and create an imprint, and that imprint is going to drive an impact. And then you'll see the ripple or the domino effect. But then also just be true to the talents and making sure that you are sowing the right seeds, because as you sow those seeds, you begin to reap that abundant harvest. And then another thing that some people worry about or are so wrapped up is the monetization piece, because they have a podcast, their podcast is growing, and now they want to actually convert their podcast into a business where they can begin to monetize it. So, what does that look like? And what are some strategies to really help someone level up in that area? And I know your focus is women, so let's focus on the women in podcasting space.
Okay. So this one, I love this question because you can go so many ways, and it really depends on what your podcast is about and what you're passionate about. What are you in alignment? Where's your end goal? So this is going to vary case by case. I am learning that even if you're a baby podcast, you can offer a baby offer, because you want people to begin to trust you. So say there's a free offering of a free PDF of, top 5 ways that you can begin to write a blog or something, or top 5 ways you can have a healthier home by swapping these 5 things. And that's your free item, right? So then you keep promoting that on your podcast for 3 months or so. Then the next 3 months, you start promoting a $29 offer. Do you want a 30-minute consultation on how do you swap out your specific products for something better? Or maybe it's a coaching tool like a marriage, say you're a marriage empowerment coach or a business coach, and you get a $29 offering, and then you keep moving on. And my point is when somebody can trust you with little, coming back to that, it starts with the one or the one thing. Then when they start to trust you with the little things, they can begin to start to trust you with even bigger and invest even more, because they're building this know, like, trust factor, right? So as you begin to build your podcast, you will continue to offer your value in what you do, and they begin to trust you. And so they will invest over and over again in that capacity. So for me personally, I am a big fan of promoting your own stuff. If you have a friend, a business coach, somebody who is in a similar network as you or just a little bit different, then you guys can tag team. This is just a little idea. And you can say, I want to promote your thing. So if I promote your thing on my show for a month, 2 months, can I get 10% of the clients that you sign on? So that's an organic idea. Another one that I will tell some of my clients, if they're more of a local, like say, because I'm in Colorado, if there is somebody who has a Colorado business and they are looking to get sponsors, my first thought is, what businesses around you locally want to help sponsor your show? And go and literally talk to them and say, hey, do you want a minute blurb on my podcast? And then you can start to build monetization in that way. There's also affiliate marketing, which is a whole long conversation. But always, always, always affiliate with things that you actually love. I mean, it sounds so like, yes, absolutely. But there are some people that they choose to have affiliate links and they don't use their products. And as you can tell, I love being an authentic, aligned person. So I'm going to say align with what you are choosing to align with. So affiliate marketing. And then as people get a lot bigger, more like in the 30,000 downloads per show, you can start talking about sponsorships. However, I think personally, as I have seen over the years, you can make even more of a income off of promoting your own stuff, especially as a coach, especially as an entrepreneur, because you are feeding right back into your business. And if you're strategic enough and intentional, then you can continue to do that all year round. So yeah.
Those are really great tips, Kristen. And what I've been doing as I'm growing my podcast is I've tried to reach out to the business that I'm already patronizing and say, "Hey, I love your business. I love your brand. I also have a podcast, and I would love if you would consider coming on over to my community and becoming a sponsor. This is the value that I can add X, Y, and Z." So that's our approach that I've done, and I feel like you don't lose anything by shooting your shot. They're either going to say yes or they're going to say no. But I love how you mentioned the affiliate marketing, and really be intentional. Market what you use, because if you market what you use, it's going to be like a continual flow. Kind of like, for example, think about Lululemon. They know who their avatar is and their ideal woman, and people who wear Lululemon, they love it. And I actually went into Lululemon not that long ago, and I said, I would love if you guys have a maternity line. I tried on these size 6 pants, and now that my belly is like a watermelon, I can't fit this. And I said, why don't y'all have a maternity line? Because there's a lot of moms who are into fitness, whether they're pregnant mothers or the post pregnant mothers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would be a good person to target, since you're already targeting women who love to be involved in fitness.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. And then the other part that you mentioned is just really understanding where you are, and just giving yourself the credit that you deserve, because sometimes we talk about everyone else, but we fail to shine the light on ourselves. And
Mm-hmm.
so, like, for example, you're a podcast host, you're a coach. So maybe while you're doing some episodes, maybe you could have a solo episode where you talk about, hey, by the way, I do coaching if you're interested. And I like how you mentioned doing that. And I think I'm actually going to use that.
Great. I'm so excited. Good.
Because that's what it's about. It's about learning. And then also the part where you are cross promoting and collaborating. And I tell people collaboration is not the new competition, it's the way of synergies to grow and advance together. So thank you so much for those incredible tips, Kristin.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Now let's jump into our call to action with Kristin. So, Kristin, tell the audience what your call to action is once they hear this segment.
Well, my call to action is, if you have even the smidgest idea of like, should I start a podcast? Especially if you were a coach, an entrepreneur, a network marketer, y'all are my jam, and you need a podcast. So, I would love it if you use my link that I have given Genesis here I just want to talk to you. Let's do 30 minutes of you and me, and let's talk it out. Let's see if it's a good fit. And I think most people that are in those positions, they have no clue how easy it can be to start a podcast. And this huge mountain can be brought down to just simple steps that we get to walk through.
Absolutely. So if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you can move mountains. So now, Kristin, how can they get a hold of you? Plug your website and where you primarily hang out on social media.
Okay. Well, my website is my name, so Kristin with an I, Fields Chadwick, and you're going to find me on social at that name. So at Kristin Fields Chadwick, both on Facebook and on Instagram. And on Facebook as well, I have my personal private community for podcasters or future podcasters called Wholistic Podcasting.
And there you have it, listeners and viewers of GEMS podcast. You just heard Kristin Fields Chadwick, and she shared all things podcasting from the podcast manager and coach perspective. All of her contact information will be in the show notes. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We're on 40 plus platforms. And also, for all things video, head on over to YouTube to see the video components by typing at GEMS with Genesis Amaris Kemp. Until next time, peace,
Thank
love,
you.
and lots of blessings.